start out tonight with a familiar safety message. We recently, yesterday, completed an electrical inspection of the VHUTs, a First Sergeant and an Air Force electrician. We found some safety issues, electrical issues in the VHUTs. Some were quite serious, actually. We had some illegal wiring that had been done prior to us moving in that we've since corrected. Some of you have coffee pots in your room. The base policy is that there absolutely will not be coffee pots in the room. The First Sergeant over here has made the ruling, at least so far, if we correct the ones we have, that you can have a coffee pot in your room as long as it is not on a flammable surface. The coffee pot sitting on the plywood floor next to your bed is illegal. There are none. So if you're going to have a coffee pot in your room, it has to sit on a non-flammable surface. And as I'm sure a lot of you know, coffee pots like Mr. Coffee with the heating element in the bottom of them have a very bad reputation for shorting out and causing a fire. For you new folks, if you haven't seen the film, it takes about 3 minutes before those VHUTs are on fire to where you can't get out of them, and about 7 minutes to burn to the ground. So electrical safety is the primary concern. The VHUTs, we have completed that inspection, and we do have some work to do. Now, the next topic on safety, again, is relative, mostly, primarily, to the VHUTs. You have heard us remind you often in the past, but now with the warm weather that we're seeing, guess who comes out? All those snakes come crawling out of that den to get into the sun, along with the rats and the mice that they like to eat. And we are going to be doing health and welfare inspections of the VHUTs. One of the things that they noticed, but they didn't write up, but one of the things they noticed in the VHUTs, and in my VHUT, it's the same situation. Some of you, for whatever reason, like to have about a month's supply of ramen noodles, or a month's supply of breakfast cereal, all those things that the rats and mice dearly love to eat. So the policy is no food whatsoever in your room. Now, if you are determined to violate that rule, then I would suggest that any food you have in your room is inside of a lockable container, not have to be lockable, but inside of some mouse, snake, rat-proof container, like a refrigerator or something like that, that simply won't attract them. Now I know, and we had a complaint even last fall, that you're going to come to us and want us to do something about the mice and rats in your room. There just isn't nothing we can do. We'll give you a trap to put in there. You can listen to them when they get caught. But we really can't do much about it. It's really up to you folks to help yourself in this one. So that's the safety message for tonight. I want to start off with asking the following people, please see Stacy. There's some R&R issues. I think Stacy's still in the office. Eileen Stanton, Ronnie Postly, Edwin Lee, Bill King, Deidre Scott, Derwin Schroeder, and Billy Hartman. So if you aren't here, pass the word to them if you would. I want to start off with one of the classes that we're going to have here very soon. Probably Tony and Georgianne will be conducting a timesheet class. How to properly fill out your timesheets and how each individual here is going to take accountability to make sure your timesheet gets filled out correctly. For you new hires, you know you need this class. For those of you that have been here a long time and still can't get your timesheet filled out right, we know you need it. But the bottom line is that after we go through the class, the mandatory class, everybody's had the class, we're going to teach the class exactly how it has to be done, because we're going to expect you to be accountable for your timesheet. So if your pay is not correct, because you didn't fill out the timesheet correct, then ask yourself how come it didn't come out right. So we need you guys to start taking responsibility to fill out your own time sheet. Drivers. As you know, most of you know, we've had some real serious issues in the past with runway infractions, people crossing the active runway without the proper notification to the tower. We've had some issues with people's ability to drive, and we have now developed a new driver's course. What that means is that there's certain criteria for becoming a driver. One of the examples is you must already possess the ability to drive a standard transmission. Now this is all driven by primarily safety and secondarily by the fact that we cannot have runway infractions out here. So we're going to do it primarily because of safety. We cannot take somebody that's never driven a standard transmission and start doing driver's training, because what's going to happen is you might be proficient driving that standard transmission after a couple of hours of training out here in a nice smooth runway or driving up down the road. But the first time we get into a panic situation, you're going to screw up, you're going to put it wrong here, you're going to back into somebody, you're driving the person in front of you, we're going to have an accident, and we're just simply not going to take that chance. So if you can drive a vehicle, you can drive a standard transmission, great. The course, we're going to take 3 of our most experienced drivers that we have confidence in. We're going to have those be the evaluators. We're going to have you shadow a driver. We're going to have you drive. We're going to have you go drive with 3 different current drivers, and we're going to have an evaluation. It's a very simple form. We're going to check off your proficiency, doing the runway crossing, all of that stuff to qualify as being a driver. We take it very seriously for the safety. It's a tremendous responsibility carrying 10 people, 20 people around in a van or a bus. So we're not going to take it lightly, and we are going to be as fair about it as we possibly can. That's why we're using 3 different evaluators. We will look over each one's evaluation and come up with a score. We think it's as fair a way as we can possibly do that. One of the things that we would like to do, as you know, we're very quickly running out of work. This is actually a 2-part issue for us. First of all, we're going to offer you an opportunity to rotate through the office. Primarily, the 2 positions that are going to be offered to you to learn is our logistics and our operations. However, when you're in here, if you're going through logistics and operations with us and working with us for a week or so at a time, whatever that is, you'll learn a lot of the other additional things that go on in the office as well. You will be part of the staff meetings in the office. We're going to give you that opportunity, but we're going to put up certain criteria for it. For example, if you're going to be working in operations and learning how to do the scheduling stuff, you must have working knowledge of an Excel program, Word document, Excel, PowerPoint. So there's going to be a certain criteria that we put up that we wish you have and must have in order to start the class or start the training. But we think it's an opportunity that doesn't necessarily benefit us, but we believe it's value added to you. And we believe the more value we add to you, the better employee you are, and the better opportunity you have to get transferred to another job with us. So we're going to put that up, we're going to offer that to you. The other part of that is that when we bring you in here, we also get to know you better. We also get to know what your capabilities are. We get to know more about the individual. We have 94 employees here. It's pretty darn hard for us in management to get to know every single individual here and what your qualifications are. So we're going to offer that opportunity. ADP, place you go, look at your paycheck. We're going to have some training in that because we understand that some of you still have a problem getting there and finding your pay and understanding what the deductions are and what they mean on your paycheck. And Georgianne and Tony are going to help out on that one too. The other thing I'll mention is that some of you, and it's probably better for Harvey or something to talk about, but I know that some of you last week, your paycheck didn't show up on your ADP. So I had folks in my office saying, oh, I didn't get paid, I didn't get paid, I didn't get paid. You checked your bank deposit and the check was there. I don't know what happened in ADP, but it did show up, and it happened here and Kandahar as well. So if you don't see your check, make sure you check your deposit first to see if it got in the bank. If it didn't get in the bank, then you need to come see us. Then we have a problem. Really need your guys' help. As you know, things are dramatically slowing down in the field. C-130 is gone. We don't have a lot of work. We're going to have a lot of you assigned to the same place. I need your help. We need your help to figure out what we're going to do with everybody. We need your help to figure out how to keep you busy. We need your help trying to figure out what training classes might be of value to you. We need your help to figure out any possible thing we can so that the government next door knows we're busy. We've got to figure out how to keep everybody busy. You might think that, well, just give us about half a day off every day. I don't think the government and the taxpayers want everybody here working half a day. We've got to figure out how to keep you guys busy. We are looking for work. We are beating the bushes for work. But I need your help to figure out how we're going to keep everybody busy and what we can do for training classes or whatever it is. So if you have any ideas, if you have any suggestions, please let someone on the staff know about it. There's no idea that we don't want to listen to. So please suggest what you might come up with. For those of you that live in the barracks, we've been having a real issue with room keys. I'm going to have some help here from Leonard. What's the cost?
$100.
We are being charged now by billing $100 a key that's not returned. So, if you go on R&R, you got to turn the key in. So if you leave the project, care if you go into Kandahar or where you're going, we've got to have your key before you go. So that's going to be part of our process. If you don't have your key, we'll have a record if we issued a key. If you don't have your key, if you've lost it, you owe us $100. Because if you don't pay us, we still have to pay them. So hang on to your key. Don't loan it to anybody. If you don't get it back, it's still your key. And billeting has gotten very strict. In fact, they've gotten so strict that we used to be able to go over there and just get rooms for people coming in. Now we can't do it. Now we got to physically bring the person over there and get them billeted, get them the key, get them signed in, fill all the forms out. They're getting very strict about it. I want to remind everybody again about driving on the base, about riding in the van, about wearing your seat belts. You don't want to lose a vehicle. Now we are getting ready to put out a request for proposal. We want to rebid the vehicles we have and see if we can come up with a better plan than what we've got right now. But we got to take care of the ones we got, and we will be assessed damages to those vehicles. We will have to pay it. So please take care of the vehicles. Please wear your seatbelts. Tony.
You touched on my timesheet issue. One thing that brought to my attention, as the Air Force brings the mail into us, sets it on the table, gives Leonard, myself, or whomever else that's the mailman, opportunity to put it up, run over grabbing your mail and signing. Let these guys put up in the cabin. You get your mail, but I mean it is a federal offense for you to be dealing with that mail. Am I correct?
That's correct.
You go grabbing your mail, and then before he gets the time to sign it in, and he's going to get your mail. That's why we have 4 mail people now.
Yes.
And so, do us that favor and leave the mail alone so Leonard or someone can get it set up in the cabinets, and then they'll get it issued out to everyone.
A lot of time the last few weeks, mail's just been left there after, not put away, or whatnot. Just done like right now, 7, 8
apologize, primarily because Tony's been on vacation for 2 months. But we've been down to just one mail clerk. Ron was out in R&R. Bill Vance was out in the field. He's no longer here. But now Tony's back, and we have Leonard here, and we're going to get Stacy the class. So we definitely need more mail clerks here so that we can secure the mail when it comes in. The last go around with the old military group, when the mail came in and we weren't here, they automatically secured it. And these folks aren't doing that yet. So we need to take responsibility for it when it comes in, and you got a valid point.
That's all.
Harvey?
Oh, boy. Where you going? Okay, last week, I have to apologize to everyone in the room because I communicated poorly last week when I started to speak about the employment agreement, and I made a couple of mistakes. So I'm going to try to correct those mistakes tonight and go through a couple of other things. Last week when we started talking about the employment agreement, I stated that when we come to the end of this contract period, that you would be signing another employment agreement. That statement was incorrect. Okay? Here's how it's going to work. Right now, you're under a current employment agreement that goes for 12 months. Once you get to the end of that current employment agreement, it's 12 months, and if you're curious about where I'm getting that 12 months from, it's right there on page 1 of your employment agreement. Once you get to the end of that 12-month agreement, then you would be asked to sign another employment agreement. Now, how does that affect your bonuses, your prorated bonus? Okay, your prorated bonus is still going to be paid May the 11th. You're still getting your bonus money. It's just I misstated when I said that you would sign a new employment agreement. Everybody understand what I mean when I say that? Okay. Yes, sir.
Could you repeat that? I don't understand what you just said.
Okay.
The contract ends.
Okay, the contract with the Air Force and URS, the current year ends May 11th. Last week, I stated that once we get to that point, everyone would be signing a new employment agreement. Well, that's not the way it works. The way it works is you are currently under a 12-month employment agreement. And once you complete that 12 months, then you would sign another employment agreement.
How can that be longer than the contract?
The employment agreement goes for 12 months. Now, last year, when you started, this contract, the contract was for 1 year plus 1 option year. That's why you were asked to sign an employment agreement that went 12 months. We had to make sure that we had employees available should the option year be given to us, and that's what's happened. That was the rationale behind having you sign an employment agreement for 12 months, because the contract itself, as it stood, was 1 year plus 1 year option. Everybody follow me on that? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
One, if bonus, how would that do it myself, what was considered paid? 'Cause
Okay, here's what I'm gonna do about you and your page. What I need you to do is to see me offline about, if you're asking the same question I asked you, right? How are you making your money?
No, I
It's called a bonus because it's an incentive for you to remain on the contract and fulfill your employment agreement for the 12 months. That's why it's called a bonus. It's an incentive. Okay, thank you. Everybody pretty clear on what I just shared with you? Because I want to make sure that I correct that error. Mr. Moxley?
How long is the second contract?
Okay, the second contract, the relationship between URS and the Air Force, the military, is for 1 year from May 11th, which May 11th or May 12th of 2012.
What about if your contract goes to June 8th?
Excellent question. what happens if my employment agreement goes past May 11th? Am I going to be eligible for a bonus? Absolutely. You will receive the prorated amount just as you did in your previous employment agreement, your current employment agreement. Let's say, for example, who was in there? Stan was in our meeting tonight. Stan, you want to tell them? We were talking to Stan because Stan is not Stan. This is I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell was in there and he asked that same question. All right, my employment agreement ends in July. I'm staying to the end of my employment agreement. Will I be paid any bonus money from June and July, the 2 extra months? Absolutely. You're still going to receive that. We still have that as part of the bonus schedule. Prorated. Okay? Yes, sir.
So we don't sign a new contract,
You don't sign a new employment agreement until you completed 12 months. Because if you look at page 1 of your current employment agreement, it states 12 months. Yes, sir.
Okay, so when you reach that 12 months, your total bonus up to that point would be 5,000, I assume.
Yes, it should be it should be 5,000. If you have worked an entire year, 365 days, your bonus would be the $5,000. That's extra, that bonus money. Go ahead.
But, Ms. Moxley, you came in with me.
Minus the prorated portion.
Yeah, so come May 11th, David, you and I will get 10 months of that 5,000. Come July, we're gonna get the remainder of that 5,000.
Then I want to continue in July signing a new contract.
Yes, sir, there you
Then
go.
we're going to go for what time? I mean, I understand.
We're going to go through the end. You're going to sign a new employment agreement.
Correct.
And you will go to the end of, as long as we're here.
I'm sure you'll sign another 12-month contract.
12-month employment agreement.
Then we'll go through this same thing next year at this time.
Next year at this time. Okay? And now, while we're on that, are there any more questions about that? Because there are a couple of other things I want to. Yes, sir.
What exactly is the wording on page 1?
Okay. Sir, what I'm going to ask you to do tonight is, if you have those types of questions, I need you to see me in my office, sir. Yes, sir.
So does this contract end in 2012, or can it be extended beyond 2012?
We're not for sure as of yet. We're not for sure as of yet. Chances are, we could get another extension. We don't know. Right now, the contract that URS has with the government is for 1 year and 1 year extended.
One option.
We don't know what might come next year. A lot more work. Morgan working every day on more work.
Yeah, most likely, and I'm pretty sure of it, we're going to ask you to sign another 12-month agreement. And the reason for that is, historically, government contracts get extended. This particular contract was a 2-year contract. First year, we were awarded. The second year was an option. It's a 2-year deal. But I can tell you, I've been on 6-month government contracts that lasted 5 years. So, in order, if we were to give you a 12-month agreement, you came in October, you're 12 months up in October, we give you an employment agreement just until May. We give everybody an employment agreement only until May 12. Well, guess what? Come May 12, we get an extension. Now what are we gonna do? We've got nobody here. So I fully expect that the employment agreements may be 12 months long. But it really doesn't matter if the corporate office decides, no, we're just going to give you an employment agreement for the duration of the contract. We'll have to figure out how to work with that. But I would expect that you'll see another 12-month agreement, because we surely would like to keep doing what we're doing. We really have, right now, as it stands in Bagram, and for most of Afghanistan, we got a lock on force protection. We are it. So the colonel over here, for those of you that were at the commander's call Friday night, and by the way, I'll make sure I make that announcement tonight as well, we will not have a commander's call here every other week like we used to have. The commander's call now is every other week, 16:30 hours in front of the flagpole, and we really would like to have as many of you there as can make it. He was very, very big on Friday talking about not force protection, but talking about a term in the military that is becoming incredibly popular with the budget cuts in the administration and trying to get more military people out in the field, and what it is force multiplier. Force multiplier means using civilians to multiply the military force, what the military wants to do. And this colonel is really big on it, and he's going to be here for a while. So we're going to try to capitalize on that opportunity, and we want to lead the way when it comes to force multiplying. So we hope that not only will we find additional work, but we're hoping we can expand the scope of work that's covered in this contract. We have more responsibilities and more for us to do, but right now we're leading the way in force protection.
All right, next item that has to do with the new employment agreement is, I don't know any other way to say this, but everybody will not be asked to come back at the end of your employment agreement. Okay? And that's about the best way that I can share that. You come in, you take care of your business, you do what you need to do. Distinct possibility, you'll be asked to return because we're going to need people. But at the end of the day, those that do not perform, have continual behavioral issues, will not be asked to return. Bottom line, it's an at-will agreement. So I encourage you to, if this is something you want to do, I encourage you to begin to look at this differently. And there's just a small percentage of folks that, for whatever reason, fail to understand that this is a job. This is not playtime. This is a job. You're asked to come in and provide a service and be paid for that service. I think the short answer is, you don't perform, you don't get to stay. That's it. Next item.
Harvey?
Yes, sir.
What about the Congress and they're not passing their budget and everything?
We're not worried about it.
Is that, I mean, you know, they're talking about
We-
government shutdown.
We're not worried about Congress shutting down. If they shut down, we're still gonna get paid. That's politics. We let those folks back in the States worry about that. What our major concern is that we come in, do what we need to do, and keep it moving. Okay?
Well, some of those military people we're talking about, they were afraid they weren't even gonna get paid.
That's okay. We'll let the state side worry about that. Our concern is that we provide a good quality service to our customer so that going forward, we can be asked to remain. I'm a career contractor. This is what I do. Not who I am, but this is what I do. I fully intend to remain in contracting until the very last dollar has been spent. Yes,
You know, let me interrupt. You know, it actually brings up a good point, and I'll tell you what. I want to caution you folks that aren't experienced in contracting who are out job hunting. He mentioned budget cuts, you mentioned Congress shutting down everything else. There's a little bit of truth to that. Many of the contracts that are over here right now are what are called incrementally funded contracts. A very important question for you to ask a potential employer, is this job that you're offering me on a fully funded contract? More than one person has left here and got a job, one in particular in November, and it was an incrementally funded contract that didn't get refunded come January, and was out of a job in a month. So a very important question. You do not want to get on an incrementally funded project, because when budget constraints hit and the money's not there, they don't get funded. Like this project is a fully funded project. I'm not going to tell you it's immune to being shut down, but you have a whole lot better chance surviving on a project that is fully funded than you do on one that is incrementally funded. I've been on them. They're no fun. You live quarter to quarter. Every quarter gets funding. We have a job, just to give you an example, we have a huge dam project we're building in Illinois, between Illinois and Kentucky right now. That was an 8-year job to start with. Because we're incrementally funded, it's going to be 15 years before we finish it. So be cautious on that.
Let's see. I brought up last week some proposed changes to the employment agreement. Once again, I want to remind you that they were proposed changes, and we're still working out the bugs. We're not going to get into those discussions tonight around the rest of the employment agreement. There are a couple of other things around the employment agreement I need to ask. We will probably be coming. No, not probably. We're going to be asking you what your plans are in terms of remaining past May. A lot of you will be receiving bonus money in May. Just about everybody in here. What we're going to ask is that let us know what your intentions are. You know, if you intend to take your bonus in May and move on, that's okay. But we need to know that for planning purposes. That you don't have to tell us. It'll just be an informal. Hey, look, I'm planning to stay. I'd like to stay, and that would help us. That would help us out tremendously. Primarily for us, we're going to be here, and if you know you're going home, it's okay to let us know. We're not gonna have any hard feelings with anybody regarding that. It would just help you and your fellow employees out for us to know what your plans are, so that we can begin to get that together. With that being said, there was a couple of weeks ago we had some discussions around whether or not you would be paid if you decide to take your bonus money and go on home. Will we pay your ticket? That's what I'm saying. Will we pay your way home if you decide to go home after May 11th once or whenever you collected your bonus? The answer is no. We will not be paying your way home if you decide to go home in May. And here's the reason why. Once again, I revert back to page 1 of the employment agreement, which states that you were employed for 12 months. It's a 12-month employment agreement. And if you think about that from a business perspective, if you're running a business and you have work that you won, and that contract goes to a certain period of time, and you're constantly bringing in people, you can't bring them in and then on May 11th, everybody goes to the house. Hence the reason for the 12-month employment agreement, is that we would have employees available past the end of the contract. And your contract states that if you decide to go home prior to your completion of that 12 months, then you are responsible for paying for your way home. But there's some incentive to remain on for your full 12 months. Morgan, you want to take care of the incentive? You did it pretty well in there.
All right. Somebody asked, why would I want to stay beyond May? Well, let's say your 12-month agreement is July to July. May, you get a prorated bonus. Stick around 3 more months, and you get some more bonus. And you get a free ticket home. That's worth a lot of money. A lot of money, a lot of you. So, think of it this way. If I leave in May, I get $3,000. If I leave whenever to August, I get $2,000 more. Plus I get a plane ticket home. I don't know if that's the right number, but I'm just saying as an example. You get a prorated bonus in May, stick out your employment agreement, get the rest of the bonus. If you don't stick it out, you don't get it. You get the rest of the bonus, and you get a demobilization. You get to go home. Free ticket. So there is an incentive to stay beyond May. Plus, we hope like heck all of you will. We really want you and need you to stay here. So there is incentive to stay beyond May.
Well, and most of you people are the reason that force protection is getting the reputation that it's getting. We're getting better, there are more jobs, and that's another reason to stay. It is a good job. It is, I'm like Harvey and Morgan, I'm a contractor. I've been contracting for several years. I intend to continue. If y'all want to stay contracting, URS is a great company to contract with.
I will say one other thing, not very many of you could make it today to the C-130 ribbon cutting. How many of you were there? I know some of you were. I'm sure you heard the commanding general thanked Force Protection, and the project manager for CH2M Hill thanked Force Protection for the job they did and the contribution they made on C-130. So you guys are helping build stuff out here as well. Even though you're just watching the folks work, you're part of the reason the jobs are getting done. So there is a sense of appreciation beyond just the military.
Okay, well, let's do that. I got just a couple more on here. Notice I have my pad tonight. I have my pad so that I can communicate it more effectively. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the way you act. And let's talk about this recreation area. I think probably 6 weeks ago we talked about movies, playing appropriate movies, and those kinds of things. I think the short version I have here is some of the movies on TV, probably not something you want to play on this TV. I really am offended a lot by the N-word. Some other people are offended by the N-word. Some people are offended by a lot of cussing. And this is a public area. I would ask that you be careful as to the types of movies that you play in here, because everyone's not going to have an appreciation for those types of things. Really appreciate it if you would monitor that. For you folk that play the video games back there, that's an office. That's a working office during the day and up to a certain period of time. I know you get excited, but I need you to watch what comes out your mouth. We have heard some things sitting in there that some sailors would cringe on. Any Navy folk in here? Yeah. Like some of the language is foul. It's foul. So try to restrict yourself to. I know you get excited, and we're glad, and I'm always happy to see folk at least doing something to kind of relieve their stress. But watch your mouth for things, because now everybody. I can say that the pot's calling the kettle black tonight, because everybody knows that sometimes my mouth gets a little sideways and things fall out of there that probably shouldn't. But when you're in this area and you're back there, kind of watch what you say. But especially watch this TV. So everybody's not going to appreciate hearing choice cuss words or watching illicit activities on the television. So just be mindful of that. I appreciate it.
One last thing for me. Tony mentioned that some of you are I'd call you professional contractors. You go from one contract to the other. Tony mentioned he contracts. I'd sure like to see a number of you get out of contracting. And I mean that in a very positive way. Some of you are pretty darn young yet. Now, how have I stayed with this company for as long as I have? Because I've been a salary person. I've gone wherever they wanted me to do it, done whatever they wanted me to do, not because I'm any kind of a brilliant engineer. And I have an opportunity that's probably a couple years off that's just come up. They're going to submit me as the program director for an Arctic research project involving several countries all the way from Alaska to Siberia. We're going to go all the way over the top. We're going going to start mapping and designing and talking about waterways, constructing passages, and it has a whole bunch of exploration elements to it. And I have an opportunity, maybe a couple years from now, to head that exploration team up for our company, if we are selected to do it. We're still proposing. But I got that opportunity, just sticking with it. And there's a lot of you folks that I'd like to see get out of contracting, get on with a company like ours, get on salary, and stick around with us, and do it for a while. I know there's a lot of you that have no intention of ever doing anything like that. But this is opportunity. I started out in this company digging holes in the ground, doing soil testing. There's opportunity. And it's not just us. Fluor, CH2M Hill, and all those guys. Contracting is becoming very popular because it lowers our overhead cost. But that doesn't mean that the opportunity doesn't exist. For instance, the individual that I've talked about that went from Kandahar to the project we have in Korea, not a contract anymore. He's now a company employee. So the opportunity's out there, and there's certainly some of you I'd like to see try to stick around and build a future with the company. Now, first of all, we got to find a place in St. We got to have more work. But contracting's good, but if you're young and there's an opportunity, I encourage you guys to go after it. There's some of you phenomenal opportunity here, good people. Questions?
And with that being said, remember when you decide you see something on the internet that you'd like to some assistance with getting to, at the end of the day, it will come down to how you perform here. You come to Morgan, say, hey, Morgan, I saw this on the internet. Can you recommend me? Morgan's been with this organization 40 years. You got a pretty decent reputation. Good way to lose that reputation is to recommend people that are not quite at the level they should be to be part of the organization. So if you want to try something different, you need to perform in place. You need to do what you're required to do here. That's where you demonstrate whether or not you should be recommended for another position. Okay, with that being said, I'm done. Everybody else, open forum, what's up?
First off, I would like to just, for me, when I first came here, it was really kind of just piecing together a lot of stuff, for everybody, But I really commend y'all, honestly, because I really like to see this. Because this shows that, this is just my opinion, you have shown me now that, we can actually encourage y'all. And honestly, if y'all want to, but I'm gonna give them a hand clap. Because honestly, that's a start. And it's encouragement that keeps this team going. And the biggest thing I really would like to see, Tony, but make a long story short, this is great. I really like this. At first, I had many questions. Now, it's possibilities. I'm saying
There's a great opportunity.
Yes, sir. There's a lot more possibilities. But I would like to see this, and honestly, everybody just encourage them, because what they're doing is not just as easy as we look at it. They're doing something to help us. Why don't we help them and encourage them to go forward? So I'm just gonna leave it at that. And the biggest thing I would like to say, it's a two-part question. This is my question. I would like to have a little bit more, on y'all side. I would like to see a little bit more privacy when it comes to personnel, especially when they become professional. Because some people like the privacy, and I'm not going to say I haven't really seen that in y'all, because I have. But at the same time, I've heard other things from different people, different sides. But I would really like to see just personality, just calm. Because this is a start. Because honestly, nobody really has any questions. Y'all answered everything, and this is great. So I commend y'all.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you
Anybody
very much.
else?
Anybody else?
Questions, comments?
Woo. All right, yes, sir.
One of the suggestions for some of the training classes we have,
Mm-hmm.
possibly like a, I don't know, war zone type training. Because a lot of people like me, I'm not ex-military, really been in a war zone. Basically just kind of like things to do if some, things happen, incoming or, just different scenarios. Just kind of a training or briefing, how to perform, where to go, how to meet up, stuff like that.
Okay, so if we have an incoming,
Right, whether it's at night or whether you're.
yeah, whether it's at night, do you lie down on the floor in the B hut and say, or do you get up and run out?
Let me ask you another question. Would any of you be interested, first of all, let me tell you that every single day, I get an intelligence report about the Middle East. It talks about all the stuff going on in Egypt and Iraq and Kuwait and all over the country. Now, it's a classified report that I get, but there's obviously information in there that's not classified that I could share on Monday night, just kind of an update of what's been happening in the Middle East in regards to security. If any of you would like to hear that, I can give you a 5-minute recap of what's happened this week around the Middle East, especially for some of you that are traveling. Just to give you an example, we had a situation in Kuwait a couple of weeks ago where we nearly had to stop anybody going through Kuwait because of very serious protesting and rioting going on in Kuwait. The airport wasn't safe, the commercial airport wasn't safe. So those things I hear about, if anybody would be interested in that, I can certainly share some of that with you on Monday night.
It's a lot better than taking an incoming and then hearing, got nothing for you today.
But I think the question was, what are the procedures after an incoming? And Leonard, and we're working on, we changed that, and our attrition rate is high. We put people into that job, then they're gone, all right, then we have to redo it again. We redo the training. Leonard is working on some great procedures and some training procedures. I carry a radio at night, Leonard carries a radio at night. Then we have Raymond over here that carries a radio at night. We have women that carry radios. So that we can do a 100% accountability after an attack. Hopefully we'll have that up and going.
Yes, right. It's pretty much done. It's pretty much completed. You just came in, we just recently started situational awareness classes also,
Yeah.
which have already started. We've had quite a few people go through those classes, and you rescheduled for one of those real soon as well. And we've also completed all the safety and evaluation process as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be posted real soon.
So, but if you want to know something now, you can just kind of get with Leonard. He can give you an idea of here's what you need to do for this, and that. But there is a more formalized version, and it will be made part of the end process as we go forward. Any more questions about anything? Going once.
Well, I just have really just an opinion on myself. I mean, I would like to see these meetings mandatory.
No.
Honestly,
No.
honestly, I would like, that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. I mean, because
If you make it mandatory, we got to pay. We don't want to force anybody to come in here if they don't want to be here. Absolutely.
To me, it is mandatory for me, not because I'm getting paid for it or not, it's because I want to know what you want, you want to know what I want. That makes it, I'm going to be here. Because I want to know what Antonio says, I want to know what Brandon says, I want to know what your wants are.
For any of you that have come in within the last month, Tony here is the site manager, so take all your issues to Tony, please.
He's going on. He's leaving us.
He's already on R&R.
He's going on R&R. His cup runneth over.
So that contract we're going to sign a year from now is going to be the order.
WGI.
That's a good question.
Because I thought with WGI, I thought maybe that would.
We'll talk
All right, good night, everybody. Be safe.